Tonight, 660 sellout tour, Waipa District Mayor talks long-term plans, and Knees of Fury with Rachel Sutton. Kia ora and good evening. Welcome to Central News on TV Central for Tuesday, the 31st of March. I'm Amanda Harper. In today's news, with their highly anticipated arena shows selling out super quick, 660 have announced they have added another 6 all-ages regional shows to meet their fans' demands. Claudelands Arena in Hamilton sold out, as have shows in Auckland and Wellington. 660 are celebrating the release of their new album and will take their high-energy live show to fans across New Zealand in May and June this year. Fans are urged to get tickets as soon as they go on sale at 12 o'clock on Thursday, the 2nd of April. Tickets will sell fast. 4 Waikato leaders in the fields of hospitality, architecture, manufacturing and health will receive honorary medals from the Waikato Institute of Technology for their long-standing contribution to the region. Peter Stark, General Manager of Montana Catering, Richard Hill, co-founder of Chow Hill Architects, David Frederickson, founder and chair of Convex Plastics, and Maureen Speedy, nurse manager for Waikato Family Centre, will formally receive the medals at a special community ceremony at Wintec in June. Wintec Chair Mary Cave Palmer says they are delighted to be awarding Wintec medals to people of such high calibre within the community. They've all made exceptional contributions to Wintec, the Waikato and the nation in their own unique ways, and Wintec are pleased to acknowledge them with this prestigious honour. With national titles and a number of top 10 finishes to their name, the Bay of Plenty have once again walked away from the New Zealand Secondary School Volleyball Nationals with wide-ranging success. At the end of the week-long tournament in Palmerston North, it is Rotorua's Western Heights High School flying the Bay flag after taking out the Division 1 competition in comprehensive fashion. The NZSS Volleyball Nationals are the biggest secondary school indoor sports tournament in New Zealand, and this year boasted 155 teams from New Zealand and Australia, including 1,900 players, 450 officials and around 1,000 supporters. Facing Australia's Heathfield High School in the final, the Rotorua side won in 3 straight sets, ending Tauranga Boys College's 2-year run as champions. Other Bay sides to finish strongly were Mount Maunganui College in 4th, Tauranga Boys College in 5th and Otomotai College in 8th. Tauranga wind engineer Dion Campbell has been awarded a fellowship of the Institution of Professional Engineers NZ for his leadership in the development of wind generation in New Zealand. As well as leading the construction of wind farms both here and in Australia, he is now considered one of New Zealand's leading practitioners. He has been a strong proponent of wind generation and has had significant influence on the now widespread use of this technology throughout New Zealand. He has been a board member and co-chairperson of the New Zealand Wind Energy Association for 10 years. IPE NZ Chief Executive Susan Freeman Green says the Fellows and Achievers Dinner is a very special occasion for IPE NZ as they honour and celebrate the outstanding individuals who have made a significant contribution to the advancement of the engineering profession. It is an opportunity to highlight the great work the engineers do and the positive benefits brought to New Zealand. And now for our region's weather. Hamilton, it'll be fine tomorrow with light winds, a high of 23 and low of 10. Rest of the Waikato will be the same. Pairo 23-12, Matamata 21-12, Te Awamotu 23 high and 10 low, Tokorua 20 and 11 low. Over in the Bay of Plenty, Tauranga will be mainly fine with a chance of a shower. Light winds as well, high of 22, low of 14. Te Puke, your high is 20 and overnight low of 14. And for the marine forecast, becoming variable 10 knots in the morning, high tide is at 9:36 p.m. And on the east coast, becoming early Wednesday, variable 10 knots and high tide is at 6:19 p.m. Coming up in the show, Manny and Harms, H-Town's coolest youth workers. Welcome back to Central News. For over the last few weeks, we've been featuring Manny and Harms from Te Ahurea Rangatahi on Central News. Sadly, this will be the last story from them. Until we get them back on screens next time, tonight they talk to me about being youth workers in the Waikato.
No, we were quite fortunate to make it where we are just through in-house training.
Yes.
So we've had other people that, been in the game for 10, 15 years. They kind of really push us and put us on the level where we needed to be. There's only been in the last couple of years where there's been a kind of youth worker degree that's kind of come out. Other than that, there's been social work and counselling, but because we kind of don't fit in any of those titles, health promotions, it's kind of its own thing. So, in saying that, yes, we have got certificates on the way. Our boss is huge on education. So at the moment, like 3 of our, about 6 members of our,
all studying.
Are all studying at the moment.
Part-time.
So so it's pretty cool. But for us, nah.
Yeah, and there's little certificates on the side that we get encouraged to pick up and take, health promotion papers or some little teaching degree from WinTech.
Yep.
But a lot of it's just, in-house learning from the past ones that have found great formulas in classrooms or with young people.
Mm.
Yeah.
And what is it that you guys do at Te Ahuroa?
Well, at the moment, we've kind of been mashed into many roles, but at the moment we call ourselves the Transformers.
Yeah, man.
And only being because we literally transform and do so many different things.
Yeah.
We do like health promotion, so we go out and about, we'll do anything like WinTech promos, uni promos, anything just to promote sexual health or well-being. We also do
like the education stuff in the classrooms would be another one. But then we run, like every week we run a youth support group for boys and girls in the city. And then every now and then we get told to come to conferences and attend with all these doctor, PhD people.
Yeah. So.
And then we get to MC and host them, or we even present on our own mahi that we do. Or sometimes we run these conferences ourselves.
And we're just in the process of making some actual workshops, so it's going to be cool.
Cool. Yeah. Now with your youth support groups, is there a kind of communal place that you meet?
Yeah, at the moment we just moved building, so we're in the Zeal building, which is we call the Black Castle.
Yeah.
But you can find us on Ward Lane if you're ever looking for us, or just get in contact with Te Ahuroa. But that's pretty much HQ at the moment, and that's where we base ourselves out of.
Yeah. And do you incorporate your hip hop background into your teaching styles?
Yeah, most definitely. Like when we speak, definitely, and introduce ourselves, or even just interact, play some games, do some dancing.
Or you might drop a little like a verse before you start. You might intro yourself by rapping, or you might just do a piece on the whiteboard real quick. And I know it's just another way of engaging young people rather than, hey, my name is the same old boring kind of stuff. So I think it catches them off guard a bit.
Yeah, and that's why that culture was invented, man. Young people to express.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nice. And what are some of the challenges you face in your line of work?
Yeah, there's definitely some challenging young people out there.
Yeah.
But there's never been a young person we couldn't work with, which is still great.
But there's challenges with old people.
Yeah, that'd be the biggest, man.
Yeah. I mean, like one would be the stereotypes. Obviously, we kind of look just like normal young people, but we kind of have the urban feel, so some people are a bit standoff to us, so we kind of get that a lot and often kind of looked down upon.
Te Ahuroa Rangatahi is a non-for-profit organisation with youth helping other youth. Thanks, boys. Neighbours Day was held over the weekend and it was a great success. Reporter Rachel Sutton caught up with Maretta Ford about the event last week.
I know for a fact, and don't ask me for the research or the evidence, but I know that when people feel connected to the people around them, they feel like they belong to something, or and when people feel connected, we know that they will be engaged. They'll also look after each other. They'll also be kind to each other. There'll be a whole bunch of goodness in the neighbourhood. So for me personally, it is important to know, and so that you have that support when things do get tough, your neighbour's there to support you. Like when you go away on holiday, who's looking after your house? There's a bit of peace of mind to know that actually the neighbour's probably going to clear my mailbox and may even do your lawn for you while you're away if you're lucky enough to have a 4-week holiday or something like that. So, I mean, there's a lot of good that can come from knowing your neighbours. So, yeah, I've got probably a personal love to try and get connected, even myself, to get more connected with the neighbours around in my street. I'm a busy person, so I'm hardly home. That's what my neighbours know, but at least, they know that I exist and I live in the house. But many times I've been able to ask my neighbour on several different times, to help me out, and that's been amazing. And just think of all the things you'll be doing for the environment, like, you don't have to go down and get a whole big packet of sugar when actually, I could do it the next time I go shopping, because actually my neighbour Julie will, offer me, and I can ask her, look, can I just borrow a cup of sugar to get me through, So a lot of that old school kind of thinking is, slowly slipping out of our community, and Neighbours Day, I think, is going to help bring that back.
Speaking of sugar, on Sunday you are holding a high tea. Do we just turn up, and what does this involve? So
Te Whare Kokunga, our Melville Community House, is hosting a high tea, and again, the Te Whare Kokunga has colour-coded their streets around their house, and so they're wanting to connect with their neighbours, and neighbours vice versa connecting with each other over some lovely hot tea and cake. So that starts at 10 o'clock on Sunday at Te Whare Kokunga, which is on the corner of Pine Ave.
Are there any future plans in place for next year's Neighbours Day?
Well, I'd like to see, like today I looked on the Neighbours Day Aotearoa website, and there's 44 registered events in our city today. So, each year it grows, because last year we had 22, so we've already, and lots more people. I mean, there's lots of people doing stuff and not registering on the website, which is fine, but it would be good to grow and do more of what we're doing already, so that so neighbours feel connected and neighbours feel really good about belonging to a community.
For those of us that are wanting to approach our next door neighbours, do you have any tips for us?
Apart from going to the website neighboursday.org.nz, there's heaps of ideas on there. Literally, get out from your fence, knock on the door. I know that sounds easy, and it is probably a little bit challenging for some people, but literally that's a start. Even if you're not too comfortable to do that, and you see your neighbour at the letterbox, why don't you just wave? And that's the start of the initial, or a heads up, eyebrows, whatever it is, make the first connection. If you're waiting for your neighbour to do that so that you can get engaged, why don't you make the first step? And if you want to get involved, there's heaps of ideas, again, on that website, neighboursday.org.nz.
Thanks, Rachel. Stay with us for more stories on Central News. Welcome back to Central News. Long-term plans are the hot topic for every council in the Waikato and Bay of Plenty, and the Waipa District Council is no exception. Mayor Jim Milcrease informs me on the big issues affecting the district.
Well, for Waipa, as with many other councils throughout the country, it's our services, our water supplies, sewage and stormwater are the main issues, and a significant cost over the next 10 years. We're looking at investing about $200 million in upgrading those services across the district.
Okay. And how will you be addressing these issues?
Well, because they're so varied, a couple of our major issues are water supply in Te Awamutu and in Cambridge for different reasons. Quantity in the Te Awamutu side of the district, and its delivery in Cambridge in terms of upgrading the size of water pipes and treatment capacity. But in Te Awamutu, we're certainly challenged every year now with the droughts that we've been having, and they're not running out of water, but certainly facing restrictions in terms of what they can do, probably predominantly around their gardens and in their swimming pools and things like that. So we need to increase our capacity in Te Awamutu, and we're looking at a couple of options. One, pumping the water across the district from the Waikato River, and the second option, which is a cheaper option but not quite as assured, is increasing our supply from Pirongia and topping that up with a couple of new bores.
It's all about addressing potential issues in the future, isn't it, with the long-term plan?
Well, absolutely. The potential for us to attract industry now is starting to become challenged. Effectively, what's happened is we've been really fortunate in having growth, and the capacity of our existing system is now reaching its maximum capability. And on top of that, people are tending to use, because of historical reasons, use more water than they probably should. There's a lot of wastage in the system. So as part of the upgrades, we're looking at putting water meters onto every property, and that will impact on the residential areas of Cambridge and Te Awamutu. The rest of the district is already metered, but by using meters, we believe we can actually save about 20% of our water consumption. People tend to fix their leaking taps and don't waste it if they're going to get a bill for it. And it's also a fairer system, because people who do conserve their water can in fact make some savings, whereas at the moment everybody pays the same amount no matter what they use. So there's an equity issue there.
Mm-hmm. And what do you want the public to take into careful consideration when reading over the consult document?
Well, we have the water and issues and sewerage are important issues, but I suppose they're pretty technical, and yes, we have asked a couple of questions about water supplies, which option people prefer, but we also have a number of I suppose, the nice-to-have type projects. Waipuki Park, which is 40 hectares of reserve land purchased by council about 12 years ago, just south of Karapiro. We're talking about starting to develop that to provide access and passive recreational areas. We're talking about bringing the Cambridge swimming pool back on stream, and that's always good for a bit of public debate on what size pool we should be building and how much we're spending. In Te Awamutu, we've included an option to build a new museum in Te Awamutu, alongside the library, which will be starting construction this year, so it's outside of the 10-year plan, and just what people's views are on that. And cycleways is another interesting issue that people should comment on. When you look around the country at the present time, there's a huge amount of economic growth on the back of cycleways and gold trails and the timber trails in the central Waikato, and we have the Te Awa River Ride that there is a lot of interest in finishing that, I suppose, from Ngaruawahia through to Waipuki Park. So that would be a fantastic asset to the region. Yes,
it definitely will be. So there's a few exciting changes proposed in the long-term plan this year as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay. And when you talk to people and ask them, everyone likes to focus on the essential services, but when you ask them why they're living in the district, it's because of those nice-to-haves. It's the amenity that they like.
For more information, go to waipardc.gov.nz. In our last story, Fighting Comp Knees of Fury was held in Hamilton on the weekend. Reporter Rachel Sutton talked to Ethan Kep ahead of the event.
Yeah, for this event I've sourced them from Auckland and Rotorua and all around Hamilton, so this one's a bit more of a local show, and it's cool, you know. That was my dream 4 years ago when I started doing the Knees of Fury in New Zealand, was to showcase the New Zealand talent. I mean, I've been bringing Kiwis over to Australia for the last 10 years. But yeah, we really want to, you know, find a diamond in the rough here, and I think I've found quite a few actually, so they'll be showcased on the night. It's really cool that New Zealand's got so much talent. So
what are your tips for fighters on the evening?
What is the tip to be the main fight? Well, you've got to have a lot of natural talent, you've got to have a little bit of X factor, and you've got to have some tremendous skill to main event a Knees of Fury show, that's for sure.
And who is your big draw card fight for the evening?
For this one, I mean, there's no real big name, so to speak, but the main event for the fight is Ra Jonathan and Joe White. Ra Jonathan I brought over to my shows in Australia before, and he's a multiple New Zealand champion. He's a great fighter, and Joe White is a great fighter in his own, you know, right too. He's got a few New Zealand titles, and they're both from Rotorua, 86 kilo boys, so this is for, you know, bragging rights, you know, so I'm not sure whether they're that fond of each other in their hometown, so it's going to be a cracker.
Now, where do we go and get our tickets for the evening for Knees of Fury?
Yeah, you go to Event Finder, and you can get all the details from www.kneesoffury.com, or you can get them on the door.
Do you have any advice for people out there that are wanting to get into the sport of Muay Thai?
well, my advice is do it, you know. Like, I don't think there's been anything negative come from anybody doing Muay Thai or kickboxing. I believe it's the greatest martial art in the world, and for kids, women, everybody can get in it. Even older people are getting the benefits of Muay Thai. It's a fantastic way to release, you know, your stress of the day and everything. And I believe, you know, Muay Thai fighters are the fittest athletes in the world, without a doubt.
Preparation-wise for the fighters, when they're doing the 8-week prep, what does that involve exactly?
Well, there's so many different things, you know. We do strength and conditioning, we do sprints, we do hill runs, we do sparring, we do pad work. I mean, it's just it's a long list of things, you know. You get injuries, well then you can't run, so you got to swim, and you know, we just do anything we can to get the fittest you possibly can. We do some weird and, you know, weird and wonderful things. It's not normal, not PC, I guess. But yeah, a lot of my you know, rituals and stuff it's not PC, all right? So I try to bring the best out of my guys, and you know, we strip them down and then we build them back up again. So it's yeah, I couldn't just give you 2 or 3 things. There's so many different things that we do. So
nutrition-wise, do you have to keep a really close eye on that?
100%. You know, all my boys, I mean, you come on the night, they're just shredded. You know, they look like bodybuilders, you know, but I mean, not as big as bodybuilders, but you know, body fat wise, they probably got a 5% body fat, and they're leading coming into the show, and they've got to, you know, lose anywhere between 5 and 10 kilo this week. So fight week is the hardest week for all fighters. They're on a real strict diet, and yeah, they get down as light as they can for the weigh-in the night before, and then they put all the nutrients all back in again. So when they go into the ring, they can be anywhere between 5 and 10 kilo heavier. So it can be a big advantage if you do it right, and there's quite a science to it, you know. So I'm not going to give too many tips away on what we do, but yeah, they follow a real strict diet. It's very important.
Can you tell us, for Knees of Fury, what fights do you have coming up? Yeah,
well, I've got May 30 in Australia, August 17 in Australia, and then we've got another one over here in New Zealand, the last show for the year, October 17, I think it is from memory, and then I've got another show in Australia in November. So I do 4 shows a year in Australia and 2 shows here at the moment. I don't want to flood it too much in New Zealand because there's a lot of shows in Auckland and all around the place, but I think Hamilton's big enough now to sort of, you know, cater for 2 shows a year, but who knows, next year we might pump it up to 3, we'll see how we go.
Congratulations to all the fighters who competed over the weekend. Thank you for watching Central News. We do post everything online on our website, tvcentral.co.nz, and we also like to keep in touch with our viewers on Facebook. Search centralnews.tv. Or if you think you might have a story for us, email news@tvcentral.co.nz. I will be back on screens tomorrow night with more stories from the Waikato and the Bay of Plenty. My name is Amanda Harper. Have a good night. Pō mariye.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.